everybody. This is Dr. Nozella, and I'm glad to be back with you today. I've been studying nutrition and wellness over 30 years, and I am super passionate about helping others to achieve the best quality of life using the natural plants that God designed for our bodies. Professionally, I'm a nutrition educator, a professor, a writer, a speaker, a researcher, and a wellness consultant. And like most women, I really struggle to live a balanced life. But one thing I've learned is I have to be very intentional, even protective about taking care of me and my family. And that means taking care of my body. We only get one, so it's really important to invest in ourselves and the temple that God has given us.
Dr. Nozella, fondly called by her adult children and her husband David for almost 44 years, friends and colleagues. As a city girl who grew up next to a dump, she is committed to living as free of toxins and pharmaceuticals as possible in order to protect her health. She's a doctor of education and passionate about empowering others to achieve the quality of life they desire. Professionally, she is a nutrition educator, professor, writer, speaker, researcher, and wellness consultant. Like most women, she struggled to live a balanced life. However, one thing she learned is that she has to be intentional. That means taking care of her body because she believes it is the temple of God. Her greatest joy comes from sharing what she's learned and experienced with others. And I am glad to introduce Dr. Nozella Brown.
Thank you, my cousin. Really glad to be here. I am really excited, and if you'll bear with me, I'm going to try to work with the technology the way it's supposed to work. I do have slides that I'm going to be sharing, and if you email me after the presentation, I have a notes page for you and some other prizes for bonuses that you'll be able to get if you want to email me for some additional information. But I just kind of want to start out. We're going to talk about 7 secrets of optimal health, why some people get sick and others don't. And I just want to tell you, like 44 years ago, I was so sick. I just gotten married. I was unable to get up in the morning, and even after sleeping 11 hours a night, I had had a history of not having much energy as a kid. I even had a history of fainting as a kid. My mother would take me to the doctor. The doctors told her that the tests were fine. They really thought it was all in my head. Um, 44 years ago, I had a friend, I was at a Bible study, and she recommended I go see this doctor. Now, this doctor, in my mind, was kind of a quack because, see, I had gone to school and they had told me doctors like him weren't real doctors because he believed that what you ate had something to do with disease. And they didn't believe that back then. Um, this doctor ran a simple blood test and he determined that my blood sugar was dropping dangerously low levels. And he told me that if I didn't make some lifestyle changes, I would have diabetes by the time I was 30 years old. And that was the beginning of my journey of wellness. I had studied it in school, but what I had studied was not going to help me to have good health. So I began to really study about health, wellness, nutrition, fitness, and its relationship to vibrant health and the health that God really intended us to have. And I started making some very simple lifestyle changes. Today, I am well past 30 years old, but I don't have any chronic diseases. And I praise God for that and the things I've learned. Actually, at my last annual checkup this year, my doctor said I was the best patient she had. I had made her day. She said my health was someone that was 20 years younger than my real age. I
Really?
don't say that to be proud. I say that because I really believe the things that God has given us, if we do them, then we will see those results in our health. So as I said before, I've done a lot of research, but I also look for practical, simple, science-based, and low-cost lifestyle habits that anybody can do. And now, really more than ever, these habits will help us enjoy vibrant optical health. You all know we're in this crazy pandemic season. And I was reminded of a quote that Dr. Furman made, and he made this 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You look at that, because he understood, and he and many others were beginning to see what was happening. He said, we must, and he was talking about doctors, we must intercede with relevant research from nutritional science and empower people to protect themselves before we see the continued degradation of our daily health and before a massive life-threatening epidemic explodes. Okay, prophetic. That was 20 years ago. Unfortunately, while we have the relevant research, we have done a very, very poor job of empowering people. And now we have this pandemic on us. So today, I really want to remind us of 7 very simple, often forgotten or ignored keys for having that optimal health. And because I'm a Young Living brand partner and Young Living has been so integral in my journey to wellness, I will throw in a few of the products that I have used that have been helpful for me, that personally. And I'll tell you a little bit more about how you can get access to some of my other classes. And as a bonus, I'd like to give you one of my most popular classes this year, and it's been Essential Oil Protocols for Global Health Concerns. So if you're interested in that, and if you're interested in getting the notes, please email at me after this presentation. First of all, I do want to make this disclaimer. What I am saying today and what I'm sharing with you is not intended to replace the advice of your healthcare provider or to diagnose, treat, prevent, or to cure any disease. I am an educator, and I am super committed to just helping you have access to all the resources that are available to you to help you make the best choices for your health. And that's most important to me. So today, we ask the question, why is this topic so important? Why are people so sick? And again, I'm reminded of Dr. Furman and his colleagues when they began to toot the horn and try to caution us. And they suggested that environmental, social, and nutritional changes could help us, but the way these things were going now, the way the environmental changes were happening, the social changes that were going on, the nutritional changes people are beginning to do in their diets, were going to lead to unprecedented and an explosion of infections. And even back then, they were seeing that there were so many, 35 new infections were just coming on the scene, and it has increased in the last 20 years. Today, we know as a nutrition educator, people are sicker. We know there's more chronic disease and illness. And we ask, why is it that some people get sick and others don't? And why do some people seem sicker than others? And Dr. Furman and his colleagues were trying to point out that there are some environmental things we've been doing and some social things and nutritional things that we're doing. They're lifestyle choices that are really compromising our health. And we do see people get sicker and sicker. And what we've learned is because of these environmental, social, and nutritional habits, we are weakening our health, especially the health of our immune system. And 2/3 of our immune system is in our gut. And our immune system is our main defense against disease. I won't get into a lot of science tonight, but because I really want to be practical with you, but I really do think it's important that you understand what causes disease. And that's the study of etiology. And I want you to kind of just understand what goes on here. What causes disease? Whether it's viral, whether it's bacterial, there's these 3 elements that have to be present in order for a person to get sick. First of all, there's the size of the inoculum, and that's like how much virus or bacteria is present, are you exposed to? So when you're around a lot of people that have sickness, that's a lot of it, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is the virulence of the exposure. So how powerful is that disease-causing agent? we know that the common cold isn't as powerful as COVID, okay? So it's a little more powerful. And then the third thing that's important, and that's really what we're going to concentrate on tonight, is the immune response of the host. Is there really an opportunity for the host, which is us, your immune memory for that microbe, to really have the opportunity to grow and to infect you? And the immune system's health is really key. The body has actually two immune systems, and you don't usually hear about this. This is so important because there's the adaptive and there's the innate. Our innate immune system relies on the health of the host, okay? It's something that attacks immediately any foreign thing that comes to your body. Your innate system will kick in, okay? The adaptive system relies on memory from being exposed to other antigens and whether you're exposed to a vaccine. So vaccines kind of train that adaptive immune system to deal with a very specific microbe. But the innate immune system is what we're born with. It usually attacks anything. It's very quick when it attacks. And it uses things like your physical barriers, like your skin, the mucus in your membranes. It uses the immune systems in your cell. It even uses inflammation. That's why when you cut yourself, immediately it starts, these cells go in there, white cells go in there, and it's inflamed a little. So it's trying to heal that there. But the innate is really activated so that it will generally attack anything that's going to hit you from the beginning. The adaptive, on the other hand, is where we learn. Our immune system learns based on exposure. So either you have some virus or bacteria, like say chickenpox, and then you develop a memory, which is immunity to it, or you take a vaccine and it develops an immunity to it. It has a little slower response, and it is based on the memory of things happening. So the question again is, why do some people get sicker and others don't? And a lot of times it's because some people have a healthier immune system than others. And that's what I want to stress today. 7 ways that you can boost your innate immune system. Okay, we don't talk about that a lot. And you won't be likely to be a host for opportunist viruses or bacteria. You'll hear me say this a lot. Viruses and bacteria and microbes cannot grow in a healthy body. Okay, they can't. It's an unhealthy body that they have an opportunity to grow in. So the healthier you are, following these very 7 simple keys, the more you're going to be able to protect yourself. So I want to invite you to get your daily waffles. I use this acronym to protect your immune system. There's 7 habits that will keep your immune system in tip-top shape, and we'll talk about each one of these a little bit. We're going to talk about why water is important, why air is important, why food's important, why fitness, why love, self-love for yourself and love for others and community. We're going to talk about essential oils. We'll talk about sleep a little bit, why each one of these is important, because they all help to boost your immune system. So let's start off talking about water just a little bit. Our bodies are 70% water. You've probably heard that before, but you need to understand water is needed for every bodily function. And it really is the best first defense against disease, whether you like it or not. I know a lot of people are like, oh, water, but got to understand how important this is. Your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your nose, all of them have mucous membranes that create this kind of sticky substance. And that is what kind of begins to protect you initially from bad viruses and bacteria to keep them from even getting in your system. And so without proper hydration, those membranes are dry, and that makes you a little more vulnerable to disease. Unfortunately, we know about 7 out of every 10 people are chronically dehydrated, meaning they're walking around not realizing that they don't have enough water. And symptoms of dehydration are like, you just might feel no energy, or maybe flu-like symptoms, or fatigue. Sometimes all people need to do is drink more water. Brain fog is another symptom of dehydration. Headaches sometimes, or just joint discomfort. So thinking about getting that water, no matter how distasteful it may seem to you, think of some ways that you could get that in. Because the benefits of water is it really helps to flush toxins away from your organs. So that's going to protect you. It carries the nutrients that your cells need to your tissue. It reduces the fluid retention and that's associated a lot of times with swelling. And it helps you to maintain a really healthy muscle tone. It also reduces the effects of aging and it prevents constipation, headaches, heartburn. All of those are very important. It reduces your risk of kidney stones. But it's really important to remember that the water does need to be pure. It needs to be free of contaminants and toxic chemicals. And so that's why you'll hear a lot about using spring water or filtered water, or reverse osmosis water, distilled water. Use the purest water that you can find. And if you don't like the taste of water, try to put lemon in it or orange or cucumber slices there. We have a vitality drop that is only an essential oil. It doesn't add anything, but it has electrolytes in it that you can kind of put in it to give it a little flavor. I'd avoid using something that's also, if you read the label, can be toxic, even if it's adding flavor. You don't want any artificial sugars or anything like that added to your water. But think of some ways that you could make sure you're getting at least half your weight in ounces when with water. So when you think about water you need to think about half your weight in ounces. The second thing I want to talk about after water is air. Without question, we know that clean air improves health because of the oxygen. It boosts the immune system and it does reduce the stress on your lungs. Okay. And with more of us staying at home because of what's going on now, it's more important that your air quality be good. And during this global crisis, and as it continues to linger, and as we think about we may be going home even more, you need to think about how safe is the air quality in your home. We wonder sometimes, is staying indoors healthy for me? The bad news is they did a study in October 2019, and they showed that poor air quality is responsible for an additional 10,000 deaths per year. According to the World Health Organization, air pollution is the world's largest single environmental health risk. Air pollution. And it's responsible for more deaths than alcohol, malnutrition, and drugs. That's our outdoor air. So, what about our indoor air? Is it better? Unfortunately, not. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, indoor air is 100 times more polluted than your outdoor air. In fact, your indoor air pollution is one of the top 5 environmental risks for public health. And what's sad is that most people don't realize that they're responsible for that poor air quality. And that's because many of the everyday products that people use cause air pollution within their home. Here's just a few to think about. Scented candles. I didn't realize that burning candles, I love me some candles, okay? I didn't realize that burning candles with my children who had asthma was the same as smoking. I might as well have been smoking. I didn't realize that. Air fresheners, another very dangerous polluter. Personal care products that have fragrances in it, aerosol sprays, nail polish, perfume, gas stoves, ovens, dryers, cooking gases, VOCs. You've heard about those gases, off gassing from furniture and building materials, smoking, and of course, vaping products, fireplaces, household cleaners, and disinfectants and detergents. And as we've been in this pandemic season and people are trying to disinfect more, they're actually counterproductive as they're using cleaners and things that are harmful to their lungs at the same time that they're trying to kill the viruses. So it's important to avoid using cleaners that are harmful. And we do have some that are totally plant-based. We use one called Thieves in Young Living that's totally plant-based. But other dangerous hidden toxins include viruses, bacteria, dust, mold spores, pollen, and pet dander. These are all things that you want to think about, ways of removing from your indoor air quality. Those are things that we can control. We can't control car emissions and some of those kinds of things outside, but we can control some of these things. And what we can control, we really should try to do. Here's just a few tips. Ban smoking in your home. Try to use high quality air filters, and Reverend Al could tell you about that, okay? Clean and change your furnace and air conditioning filters regularly. Vent your gas burning appliances, and switch out your toxic chemicals that compromise your air quality with environmental and people friendly options. And then really practice deep breathing, and that means breathing in that's causing your abdomen to pooch out, and you're getting a breath air coming all the way through. That is very important. um, and then I like to, in place of the candles and the scents, I use the pure therapeutic essential oils to actually provide the benefits of the plants into my environment. Now, I will tell you, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but beware, all essential oils are not pure. And it's really important that you're making sure you're only getting those that have the plant in it and not anything else. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. The next thing I do want to talk about then is water is the food, okay? And when it comes to food now, 40 years ago, we didn't have the research that we have behind food. In fact, I told you when I was in nutrition class, they didn't believe even then that what you ate had anything to do with disease. I mean, which sounds crazy now. But we have a lot of research on the impact that food will have on your health and your immune system. And those that eat healthy, certain foods do actually have stronger immune systems and they get sick less. Michael Pollan likes to break it down in 3 basic facts. One of the things they've discovered that populations that eat our so-called Western diet, that's our diet that usually has a lot of processed foods in it. It has a lot of meat in it. It has a lot of fat and sugar in it. Has a lot of refined grains and very few vegetables, very few fruit. Populations that eat those kinds of diets generally have very high rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, 80% of the cardiovascular disease, and more than a third of all cancers we have discovered are linked to 4 out of the top 10 killers in America, chronic diseases. We found that all we need to do is help people to eat better. The second fact we know is populations that eat a remarkably wide range of traditional diets generally don't suffer from these chronic diseases. And thirdly, we have learned that people, and this is a good thing, when you go off of the Western diet, people see a dramatic improvement in their health. And there's just a lot of research to show that the effects of a Western diet can be rolled back and health will improve. And that's the exciting part of it. You can reduce your coronary heart disease by 80% just by altering the diet. Chances of type 2 diabetes is reduced by 90%, and the chances of colon cancer is reduced by 70%, getting away from that Western diet. So it's really, really important. And we've got some long-term studies that show that vegetable consumption is the most important factor in preventing chronic disease and premature health. I like to tell people, if you think of the G bombs and just think about how can you add more of these in your diet. When I'm doing nutrition education, I don't tell people what don't eat. Don't eat this, you've heard that enough, okay? What I do say is to see how you can add these G bombs in your diet. So much research has shown how these will boost your immune system. And that's just adding more greens. The darker the green, the better. Adding more beans, adding more onions, and with the onions would be garlic, adding more mushrooms, adding more berries, adding more seeds. Those G bombs, add more. Look for ways that you could add those to your diet. And of course, if you're the one kind of likes a smoothie or you like a nutrition drink, then you wanted to choose a drink that is that's totally coming from food, like a puree, something like what we have was the Ningxia Red, which is a puree, not a juice. That's very important. We have a lot of research now that's surfacing on supplements, but you definitely want to make sure that they're bioavailable. All supplements are not the same, and knowing what's in your supplement is really important. But we've got research on vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D. I'm sure you heard a lot about those. When it comes to food, if you could think of these 3 short phrases: eat food, not too much, mostly plants. Eat food, not too much, and mostly plants. You will be doing your immune system a huge, huge favor. Next to food, we've got to talk about fitness. And when I talk about fitness, I'm just talking about moving your body. Okay, we did one study back in 2008, and they found that those who exercise 5 or more days a week had a 46% less frequency of colds than those that did not. So again, you can boost your health just by moving more, okay? Exercise helps the immune system to fight off simple bacteria and virus infections. It decreases your chances of developing heart disease, excuse me, osteoporosis, and cancer. And we have all kind of research now that shows the benefits of exercise. We know that it helps us with weight control, but it also combats many health conditions like stroke, metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, depression, anxiety. Some types of cancer fall into this. Fitness also really will boost energy, and at the same time, it boosts sleep. So if you exercise like hours or so before your sleep, we'll talk about sleep later. That really helps to improve sleep, and it really improves your mood. And basically, again, keep in mind, we're not talking about you have to go to the gym. We're not talking about running marathons. We're talking about just moving your body, walking, stretching. All of these are important. If you could get 30 minutes most days, and they don't even have to be together. So if you got 10 minutes throughout the day, 3 10-minute segments, actually we're discovering that that's even better than to do it all at one time early in the morning and then to sit all day. So again, the body was intended to move, and the more you can move throughout the day, the better. Strength exercise then is so important because it strengthens those muscles. It helps with your balance. And then stretching is just key. And even now, as you're sitting here, I encourage you to just do some stretches with your neck and see how good that feels. Just a half roll with your neck. See how good that feels. Stretch those arms up high, just a gentle stretch. The body just really needs to move, and stretching, thinking about stretching throughout the day is just key because your body was designed to move. Next, I want to talk about love. Now, this incorporates a lot. We're talking about loving yourself, and we're also talking about loving others. Loving yourself has to do with understanding your own well-being and your own happiness. It's interesting. The scripture says, love your neighbor as yourself. We forget it says, as yourself is really the first part. If we don't love ourselves and we aren't taking care of ourselves, then we really don't have the capacity to love others. So loving self is really caring for your physical, your mental, and your emotional health, and giving yourself permission to do that. Recognizing that you have a life purpose really helps people to move through life with a better attitude about life when they're doing it according to their life purpose. When they have a healthy lifestyle, they feel better about themselves. And this also includes having proper stress management. Stress and the cortisol that's produced from too much stress is so damaging to your health and your immune system. And so recognizing that you need to have those stress management strategies, such as meditation, such as prayer, such as mindfulness, relaxation response. All of those are so very important in helping to love yourself. And then loving others, it's interesting the research that we have on that because we're finding that acts of kindness and actually showing kindness to others lowers your stress hormones. It lowers your cholesterol, it lowers your blood pressure, and it actually increases your immune system. So just being kind to others, just showing kindness to others, you will get that benefit. Did you know that simply smiling strengthens your immune system and it reduces endorphins that cause our brain to feel better? Okay, so just smiling, if you do more of that throughout the day, you are really helping to boost your immune system. Our immune system is also strengthened when we hug someone, and laughing really really stimulates the immune system. It eliminates depression and it alkalines the body. So all of that is just so, we don't think about it a lot of times, but because we get so serious, especially during a time that we're in now, we get so serious, but it's so important for you to think about ways that you could laugh and just enjoy one another, watch a funny movie, think about some pleasant memories. All of that's important. Again, doing the deep breathing is another way to show love for yourself, to relax your system, to help to decrease the cortisol that really stresses your system out. Things like yoga, EFT, all of those types of strategies are so important. And I have discovered that adding in the essential oils, and there's lots of research on that as well, also helps to reduce the stress that occurs. So as you're doing that self-love for yourself and for others, you're boosting your health in that way with the oils. Which leads us to my next one with my waffles. So the water, the air, the food, the fitness, and now we want to talk about and love, and now we want to talk about essential oils. One of my favorite. People often ask, what are they? Well, we know that God gave us the plants for health and healing, and essential oils are what we like to call the life force of the plant, nature's energy. Essential oils are the lifeblood of aromatic plants. Have you ever kind of broken open a leaf or stem or plant and you see this fluid kind of come out? Well, if you take that precious fluid from the aromatic plant contained inside or the therapeutic properties and you concentrate it, you end up with an essential oil, the essence of the plant. And they actually protect the plant from disease and harm. And we're seeing from research that they do a similar, they affect us as well. And when we distill those plants, we have all kinds of benefits from that. And we're learning that people have been distilling plants since the beginning of civilization, and holistic healing began back at the earliest civilizations with these oils. Um, oils, the essential oils are made up of a wide variety of different molecules, and it depends on the different plant, how it's produced, the part of the plant that it's used, the climate. And so that's why there's so many health benefits they're still discovering in research from the oils, both for the mind, for the body, and for the soul. They quickly penetrate through the skin and the cell walls because they're so small in their molecular size, and they're also lipid soluble. So this allows them to have some real systemic effects on the entire body. They're very, very powerful antioxidants, and they can protect the body from the harmful effects of free radicals, which you've probably heard a lot about. And research is showing many are very effective against bacterial, virus, fungi, other harmful microbes. And they really can be used to support your system and keep you above the wellness line. It's estimated about 10% of the world's plants produce oils. There's so many out there. They're still discovering some, and they come from, all kinds of parts of the plant. So some come from the leaves, some from the flowers, some from seeds, from barks, from stems, from roots, from the fruit, on and on. And because they help the plant to survive, there's a number of factors that affect the chemical constituents in an oil. So it depends on the climate at the time that a plant is grown, the geographical region, the altitude, the harvest, the farming methods. And so when you get plants, each time that they're harvested, say peppermint, each harvest is different. So if you're using those in your body, then microbes and viruses can't get used to it because it's always a little different every time you use it. But all these really do affect the quality of the oil. And as I mentioned before, you want to be very careful when you're using essential oils because they only require that a manufacturer put 5% of the oil in the bottle, and then they can put everything else in there. They can fill it with solvents, they can use fillers, and they can use anything that's synthetic, and all of this can really compromise or totally destroy the quality of the oil. So it's really important to know how that oil was distilled and to know that it was just extracted from the seed in a very pure climate all the way until when you are getting that. In Young Living, we have what we call the seed to seal because they kind of set the standard for essential oils and testing. They have over 35 tests that they do for the oils before they allow them to be marketed, and they make sure that everything that happens from the point of when they are planted on very pure soil that has not been contaminated with any of pesticides and insecticides and things like that, to the fact to when they're totally put in the bottle after being distilled, that they're very, very, very pure. So you can trust the quality of those oils. But it's really key to replace any artificial fragrances that you have because, again, that contaminates your oil. It also compromises your health. Anything you put on your skin goes right into your cells and into your bloodstream. So my pediatrician told me that when I had my first child and I was putting, you know, how we put all that wonderful lotion on their hair to make it slick down and all this stuff. And he was very concerned about me doing that with the baby. And he said to me, "Mother, you need to understand everything go on baby's skin, go in her brain." And that was a wake up call for me. And I began to study that. So we need to be very careful what we're putting on our bodies. Um, and basically the thing about the essential oils is you can use them aromatically, just inhaling them, going through the limbic system really has beneficial health benefits. When you do that, you can place it topically right on the skin. If you're using like a Vitality essential oil, it can be taken internally. Always read the label. Don't take any essential oils internally unless the label tells you that you can do that. And then begin to replace those toxic chemicals that you're using, especially cleaning chemicals with essential oil products. There's been a lot of research. I've just looked at some recent research, even when we're looking at what's going on in our country today, that some oils that have been very effective in helping those that are fighting with some of the crisis that's going on today. So you'll see those kind of here, things like clove and lemon. The citrus oils have D-limonene in it. I encourage you to do your own research on what D-limonene does and how effective it is for the body. Cinnamon, eucalyptus, rosemary, Laurus nobilis. We have an oil blend called Thieves that uses many of these. Is based on historic use of oils in fighting type pandemic type things, and so we really enjoy using that. So I encourage you to look into that, and there's research you can go do your own study on that as well. And then lastly, for our waffles, we want to talk about sleep. It is so critical for your health. And it's estimated that about 70 million Americans, this is really sad, suffer from chronic sleep problems. I think it again goes back to the environment and our lifestyle that we talked about at the beginning. But you need to understand that while you're sleeping, your brain and your body don't shut down. Actually, your internal organs and your processes, and internal organs begin to process and work out things in your body. And sleep services all aspects of your body in one way or another. Molecular energy balances as well occurs while you're sleeping, and that affects your alertness. That's why when you sleep well, you wake up and you feel like you're alert and you can do a lot. But it's not just sleep's not just important for what it does for the brain. It really affects every tissue of your body. It affects your growth and your stress hormones. It affects your immune system, your appetite, how you breathe, your blood pressure. It affects cardiovascular health. And it's interesting because research is showing that a lack of sleep will increase your risk of obesity, heart disease, and infection. So, working at getting that sleep is so important. Throughout the night, your heart rate, your breathing rate, and your blood pressure do some rising and falling in a way that's balancing. And this is so important for your cardiovascular health. And understand that your body releases hormones during sleep that kind of help prepare your body to be able to use energy properly. And it also has a little effect on how your body weight works out. We have ongoing research that shows a lack of sleep can produce diabetic-like conditions in otherwise healthy people. Recent studies also reveal that sleep can affect the efficiency of vaccinations. One research study showed that well-rested people who received the flu vaccine developed stronger protection against the illness. Because when you sleep, your body undergoes a series of changes that kind of enable the rest of your system to be able to reset. And that is so very, very, very important. And when you don't get that sleep, the body doesn't have that opportunity to do things. But we know that our sleep can be disrupted by so many things. Things like caffeine, certain medications. If you're having trouble sleeping, I would look at your medications, and if there's something on there that says it can cause insomnia, talk to your doctor. Distractions such as electronics really can affect your sleep, especially TV, cell phones, tablets, e-readers. It's kind of recommended people turn those off maybe 30 minutes to an hour before you're getting ready to go to bed, because you want your body to be able to settle down. There was a 2-week study that monitored the development of the common cold after giving people nasal drops with the cold virus, and they found that those who slept less than 7 hours were almost 3 times more likely to develop a cold than those that slept 8 hours or more. So if you get a lot of colds, you might really want to work at increasing your sleep, making sure you're getting sleep, along with the other things that we're learning here tonight. Just a few ways of improving your sleep is try to prepare to rest your body at least an hour before your bedtime. Even trying to establish a set bedtime is helpful. And I know that's hard. So sometimes we encourage people to try to do it for 2 or 3 days a week and then build up until you get to the point where you'd like to be. Really try to avoid artificial light, the EMFs that come from your cell phone. If you can not sleep with that cell phone next to you, that's good. Avoid television being on, and then work on those stress reduction activities that we talked about earlier with self-care and self-love, your deep breathing, meditation practices, prayer, journaling. Even we found benefits when people write in a gratefulness journal, like 10 things they're grateful for just before going to bed. We found that to be extremely helpful in helping people to sleep better. So give that a try. And then, of course, I really like to use the essential oils, have a diffuser going when I sleep, because many of the essential oils like cedarwood and lavender, we have a blend called Peace and Calming, really help the body to settle as you're sleeping as well. So we're talking about those waffles, and I know many of you are driving or moving around and things like that, but I also like to encourage people to think of some simple action steps that they can take. So as we talked about water, what's one thing you can do to be sure that you're getting adequate water? Just a small step. Maybe it's you want to just drink one more cup a day than what you're doing today. What is something you can do to increase the air quality? Is there something you can remove? Is there something you want to add that will increase your air quality indoors? Is there a food you want to add to remember to increase your ability to have a strong immune system? Is there some small step you can take to increase your fitness, to move more? Okay. And how about love? Is there a small step that you can take to either take care of yourself or others in the community you love? And maybe you'd like to really, you haven't used essential oils, to give those a try. Please contact me, or Reverend Al, or Sister Shalane about that. We can give you some more information about that. Or sleep. Is there something that you could do to increase your sleep today? I really would like you to think about some action step that you can take away tonight. If it's just one, that means a lot to me. It's all about really making sure that people have what they need to take care of themselves, to take charge of themselves. It really is important that we build that innate immune system. And these 7 things are things that we can do right now, today. Many of them don't cost us a lot, and that we can increase our chances of being healthier and decrease our risk of being sick. This is all I have for you tonight. I do want to give you information on how you can contact me. I do want to let you know that if you'd like the notes from tonight's presentation, please email me. And also, if you are I would like to, if you send me your email, I'd like to send you that class I did on protocols for the global health crisis that we have. I have some class I did on that, and I also have some notes on that as well that I would love to share with you there.